Hey everybody, Girl vs. City here, and I am going to show you what it's like to drive in India. So I've made a few of these videos already, just regularly on my phone, but it keeps filling up my entire SIM card, so I decided to go live today. We just left one of my favorite cafes. The food isn't good, but I love the setting. Really blurry for some reason. So, go around. You have that whole area right there. Jesus Christ, fucking idiot. Wow, you get to see the first part where she comes flying down the road, flashing her lights, and then tells me that I'm in her way because she wants to drive straight instead of driving in her lane. Welcome to Indian driving. So, I said I wasn't going to cuss in my live broadcast, and it took me less than a minute to drop the F-bomb. That's really funny. But I really wish this wasn't blurry. I just don't have time to mess with it and figure out why it's blurry. Let's pull over. Okay. I'll just pull over to the side here and see if I can get the camera to focus. Let's focus. There we go. Alright, let's go back. So this area that we're in here is called Kalyani Nagar, and it's full of a lot of bungalows and old family houses. So I have been living here in India for 6 years, on and off for the first year. So I moved in July 5th of 2011, and I came to volunteer for 3 months at a education center in one of the slums here in Pune. And I basically picked Pune. It was kind of like throwing a dart on the map, because anybody who comes to India, unless you're coming to Osho, you don't come to Pune. And you go to like Mumbai or New Delhi or Rishikesh or Pushkar or someplace that has culture. Pune is very, it's just starting to build up, so there's not a lot here that's, I guess you would say, Indian. As you can tell, as we're driving here. But what I was basically going to do was study textile design, finish my kind of like my fashion design education. And so I decided I originally applied for Italy, but they denied my visa because they said I didn't have enough money. I did have enough money, but they said they wouldn't let me work while I was there. And so they wanted to freeze. So you have to have like $20,000 in your account, and they wanted to freeze that $20,000 plus some extra. Sorry, roundabouts here are crazy because people will get in the lane next to you and go around the roundabout and cut you off at the end of it. So, but anyway, yeah. So the Italian government said that they wanted to freeze that $20,000 plus a little bit of extra, and that basically meant that I would then have no money at all while I was there. They wanted to freeze more than that extra, and I just didn't feel comfortable with that, and I asked to work, and when I asked to work, they decided to just close my visa. So, anyway, yeah, so I started looking at schools, and I found I really wanted to study textile design at that point. I love fabrics, I love surface design, I love designing fabrics, buying pretty fabrics, and that's when I decided I wanted to do textile design. So I thought, what better place to go than India? And my whole life I've been obsessed with India, like disgustingly obsessed with India and Egypt, which is really funny because about 7 weeks into my first stay in India, I met my husband, in a parking lot. Well, thanks to a parking lot. I met his friends in the parking lot, and we had to use his friends to enter the bar. But he's Egyptian, so I'm married to an Egyptian, and we live in India. So apparently as a child I was a fortune teller, and I just didn't know it yet. So if you have passions, follow them. My loves, follow them. You never know what it's going to give you. Okay, so funny story. Okay, this area here, see, now I'm getting squeezed out. I wish you could see this. So a guy came up on my left and a guy just came up on my right, and they both kind of squeezed me out so that way I couldn't turn left. So here in India we drive on the right hand side, like the UK, and so people try to come around me on both sides to squeeze me out. But right there on that corner, I don't know if you could see the cops from the angle on this. So the cops like to sit there, and a lot of times, thankfully they pulled over the guy in front of me because his car was nicer. But see, like that, people, you'll be driving up to a place and all of a sudden there will be no traffic in front of you. And as soon as you get close, then people decide to walk out. And then what they do is when they walk out into the road in front of you, they'll stop and hold their hand up to make you stop instead of just walking, and they'll look at you and shake their hand down like they're, you know, like they're patting a dog. That's the Indian sign for slow down, I'm coming out. Like that guy there, he wants to pull out, and so he waits until I'm right there to start pulling out. So come on, people. This is actually a really calm day too, but if you have anxiety or high blood pressure, you probably shouldn't drive in India. It's literally like playing live Mario Kart, which is so funny. It's actually quite a gas. It's quite fun. I plan to do more and more and more of these videos just because you gotta love it. It's amazing. So anyway, I don't even remember. Oh, the cops. Yeah, so the cops back there in the corner love to try to pull me over, but they don't want to pull me over for doing anything wrong. I have my seatbelt on, I have current registration, and I'll be driving behind somebody, so I can't be breaking any rules. You know, I'm in the flow of traffic, but basically, if you've ever driven in a third world country, you know that what they want is a bribe. And so when they flag me down, when they do the little air pat the dog, I just smile and wave and make them think that I think they're telling me hello. So that way I don't have to stop and pay them a bribe. So if you're driving while white, that may work for you. Some people have said that they've been chased by the cops, but if they don't have a car or a bike there, I know they're not going to chase me. They'll just pat down someone else. See, like this guy's standing right in the middle of the road. Here's more cops waiting. So, if you watch the news, then you know that India recently went through demonetization. So my husband and I were in Sri Lanka, and he got this WhatsApp message one day from one of his co-workers that just said, dude, they canceled all the money. And he was like, what do you mean? And India had canceled. See, here's a big truck driving the wrong side down the highway, because there's no such thing as lane discipline or anything like that. So anyway, we were like, what do you mean they canceled all the money? And they canceled the 500 rupee note and the 1,000 rupee note, and took them out of circulation overnight with no warning, as a way to combat the black market and people who were taking payments and salaries or money illegally and not paying taxes, because it's estimated that only 3 to 10% of Indians actually pay tax, and a lot of very wealthy people, I don't know if you saw that, there was a little dead piglet on the side of the road, but a lot of wealthy people were, of course, years making illegal money. So we come back to India and we're on a plane full of tourists, and the airport is just havoc because nobody can get any money. So instead of thinking ahead and executing the demonetization properly, they didn't make the money. So they canceled the money, but they didn't have any replacement money for it. So for like 8 weeks, you could only withdraw a really small amount of money every single day, if you could even get money. So you would stand in line at the ATMs for 2.5, 3 hours, and you might not even be able to get money out of the ATM. They might be completely out of money. So what was really funny is during this period of demonetization, there were no cops on the streets anywhere. They weren't working, and it's because you couldn't bribe them. So when they finally brought the money back, they just brought out the 2,000 rupee notes, so we could get access to 2,000 rupees. But then the problem was they never replaced the 500 rupee note until about like 4 weeks ago. So when you got the 2,000 rupees, nobody had change. Nobody could change it. It was a disaster. People were literally committing suicide in the bank lines, and I'm not joking about that. Like, people were killing themselves over this. Sad. But anyway, during that time, there were no cops. So anyway, this area here is called Mundwha, and we are headed towards my society, which is in a city within our city called Magarpatta City. There's a really cute little vegetable market over here. I probably just already missed it. Yeah, I did. But here, this whole road that we were just driving down, when we first got here, it was a 2-lane dirt road that was more potholes than dirt. And there was never any traffic on this road. You could go anywhere really easily. So, the little town is growing up. And this will be really interesting turning on this road, because while we're waiting, if you see the lane going the opposite way is empty. So this whole intersection, it's just fucked. Like, they don't have urban planning or transportation planning. Yep, here we go. So see that motorcycle just drove up the wrong side. Here, you'll probably see a bunch of cars driving up the wrong side, because if nobody is coming down that road, they don't think there's any point to not drive on that side of the road if they're going the opposite way. So when we're trying to turn right here, which is like a left turn in the US, I'll have motorcycles and cars on my right hand side that are turning in front of me. We'll have cars going down the opposite side turning as well, and we'll all be kind of like zipper fitting into the road. It's really crazy driving here. You have to, you have to be aware of everything at all times. People are always hitting each other. Bikes are always crashing into cars. Other bikes falling over. So the other videos that I've done, where they got cut off midway. So see, here's a guy just like, we were just at a standstill, and this guy's been standing on the side of the road, and he waits until the cars start going to cross the road. It's the stupidest thing. It drives me up the wall. I cuss so much when I drive. But anyway. So you have to be aware of everything at all times. And the videos that I had shot earlier, not live, just regular videos. I saw a motorcycle get hit by a bus. I saw 2 scooters hit each other because they both came around the car. They tried to split around the car, and they were in a hurry to beat each other. I almost got hit by a car who was in a hurry trying to beat me around a rickshaw and squeeze in. So I was behind a car like this, and there was a rickshaw on my left, and they whipped real quick and whipped into me to get around the rickshaw. And there must be an accident here, you'll see. So Indian roads are some of the deadliest roads. They have one of the highest, some of the highest fatality rates in the world. And from my city to Mumbai, the Pune-Mumbai highway is in like the top 5. It's the deadliest road in India for fatalities, and it is one of the like top 5 deadliest roads in the world. And so when we want to fly out of our city, we have to take that highway to the airport. It's a 3.5-hour drive through the Western Ghats to the airport, down one of the deadliest roads in India. You always see shit happening there. So last November 2015, I flew to the US, and it was crazy because it was a late rainstorm. It doesn't rain in November, monsoon is over by then, but it had rained on this day, and people don't understand that rain makes the roads slick and you have to be careful. So we were going through a tunnel, and people were just hitting each other left and right, and there were tow trucks and ambulances and smashed cars and rolled cars. And my driver, so when we go to the airport, we use one of my husband's company drivers, and we take the company car to the airport. He got off the main Pune-Mumbai highway and took back roads through the mountains to avoid all the stupid people. It was really, really quite terrifying, actually. I had actually never even seen a tow truck, and they were just parked all over the side of the road because they knew that they were going to have to clean cars. And when we were coming to the end of one tunnel, so there's 3 or 4 tunnels on the Pune-Mumbai highway, so we're coming through one tunnel, and in front of us is a school bus, and it's dicking around looking at all the accidents, and it doesn't notice the car in front of it is stopped for an accident, and so it squeals and tries to get out of the way real quick, and it damn near tipped over, full of children. I'm not even exaggerating. My driver and I both like audibly just gasped, and he said something in Marathi, which I'm sure was a cuss words or something. And then that's when we pulled off the highway and took the back road. So it took us an extra hour to get to the airport, but I always leave like 7 hours in advance of my flight because you never know what kind of accident has been on that road. And so your drive to the airport can take anywhere from 3.5 to 6, 7, 8 hours. So, anyway, it's kind of busy right now. It's 12:30. It shouldn't be this busy. Most people should be at work by now, but the Indian day usually starts a little bit later. Like I went out, the cafe we just left, I went out the other day, and I got there at 11:30, and I asked for the menu, and he handed me the breakfast menu, and I asked for the lunch menu, and he was like, lunch, it's too early for lunch. I'm like, it's 11:30 in the afternoon, but that's because I wake up at 5 o'clock, and I'm still on a very Western schedule, even after I've lived here for so long. A lot of people think I'm crazy for self-driving here, but I started driving in Uganda, and this is actually so tame compared to Uganda that I really don't mind. And a couple of years ago for Christmas, my husband traded in our car and got me an automatic. One day while I'm driving, I will tell you the great stories of me trying to learn how to drive this stick shift. So not only was I learning to drive in Indian traffic, which is not as crazy as Uganda, but Uganda, generally speaking, has a little bit more rules, or it could just be because there's less traffic once you get out of the city of Kampala. But see, this is how you cross the street here. You watch this Volkswagen, he's just going to start inching until people quit driving. And I'm going to inch alongside him. So I hate crossing the street. This is actually, believe it or not, a one-way road. I don't know why you wouldn't not believe it, but it's supposed to be a one-way road. So, anyway, you just inch across the street. until the traffic coming at you stops, and hopefully they do stop. I've had a lot of really close calls with very big trucks that decided not to stop at all, and just barely grazed or didn't hit the front of my car by some small miracle. So, anywho, we had an old Maruti Suzuki wagon, and we called it the toaster because it literally looked like a toaster on wheels. And I don't mean figuratively, I mean literally. I'm not like white girl base talking, I mean literally. So it looked like a toaster on wheels, and so we called it the toaster. But it was the hardest damn car to drive because the stick was, kind of fudgy, and it was very just temperamental. So I hated the car. I loved the car, but I hated it once I started driving it, and it just drove me crazy. It was really hard to drive, so I had some good experiences trying to drive that, and God bless my husband. He eventually realized we needed an automatic for my sanity. So normally right here I would turn right to go into my society. Here's my society. But I'm going to take you around my neighborhood. So this is called Magarpatta City, and it is one of the first townships here in Pune, where they designed, urban planning. You can't really plan in India because it's such an ancient society with so many ancient buildings, old historic colonial buildings, and roads that were not developed for automotive traffic. Even when I came here 6 years ago, there were hardly any four-wheelers. Four-wheelers meaning car, truck, van, bus. It was mainly people walked, rode bikes, bicycles, or motorbikes, and you took rickshaws. Cars were not as prevalent on the road as they were today, but in that time frame, the Tata Nano was introduced, which is the world's cheapest car. Over here on the left is where my husband works. This area is called Cyber City. So he works for a Lebanese engineering firm here. But most of these buildings are tech firms. So here you'll see like Sybase, Teradata, Amdocs. So if you call customer service at any of these tech companies, you might be calling customer service in my little neighborhood. So up here is like Avaya, we've got John Deere, etc. And over on the right, I don't know if you can see over the hedges, it's a garden, it's called a DT Gardens, and on the outside of it there's a 1 kilometer dirt track, and I walk that every morning and every night. So this is Cyber City, but back to what I was saying here. I guess I can't really turn the camera right now. Oh, there was a white person. It's very rare to see. When I first moved here in 2011, I never saw a white person, and it wasn't until about 2013 that I started seeing, here's the gardens, started seeing white people on the regular. And so I understand a lot how it feels to be that minority with no having to search out common people to hang out with, or people with common interests. And India is an interesting place because you live in a country where some people have never seen a white person. So you can go to the village and you're a circus, you're a sideshow. I don't even know where I'm at in the circle. Okay, I got it. So this is Magarpatta. We have a gym, we have a mall. I'll drive past the mall. We have 2 malls actually at the end of the street. It's really funny. They both have Starbucks. They both have a lot of the same stores in them, but they'll have outfits in the window. Like Puma would have a workout outfit in the window, and I could buy the shirt in one store, but then I'd have to go across the street to buy the pants. Or like if we wanted a certain size shoe and the one store didn't have it and we had to go across the street, they would not call across the street to find out if they had it. It was absolutely like, you buy from my store or you don't buy at all. It's so stupid. But whatever, not Western. So I was talking about traffic earlier. Now it's getting crazy. There's so many cars, and the roads are in the old city. The roads aren't wide or developed for traffic, so it's very hard to do any sort of planning in there. And then land is so valuable here that people buy it, and there's no corporate or municipal development really. You just build whatever you want, so you'll have, you know, flats next to, you know, I don't know, anything. Come on. See, he just stops in the middle of the street. So this is the main road here into Magarpatta, and we love our roundabouts. Love our roundabouts here in Magarpatta, in Pune in general. So in front of us, this grassy area is called the ozone something or other. And I was hoping they would have the water sprays on, but they mist water around the outer edge, around the lily pond during the day, and it I guess they think it reoxygenates the air, but really all it does is put sewage water mist into the air, because as this sign that we are coming up on says, sewage treated water not suitable for human consumption. So that's what all the fountains are made out of, sewage water that's been treated but not for human consumption, which means the fecal matter has been pulled out, but it still smells like shit. So ahead of me here is one of the malls. It's called Seasons Mall. It has TGI Fridays, Levi's, bookstores, home goods stores, Starbucks, beautiful movie theater. So the VIP movie theater has leather reclining seats. You get your own personal server. See how slow this guy's walking? Like he's just fiddle farting around. But the movie theater is amazing. It's absolutely beautiful. And it's only like $5 a ticket. So if you go to the regular theater, you can see a movie for less than